48 million slaves died. 48 million slaves. More than the population of Ghana now. It is only the wise who will understand this statement.
Oh, yeah.
I will speak to you in parables.
Yeah.
Those with logic and reasoning will decode it.
Time.
Any African who accepts the Bible or the Quran is like marrying the man who raped your mother.
Oh, yeah.
1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 1 and 2.
Those who are slaves.
Those who are slaves
Must consider their masters worthy of all respect.
must consider their masters, that is the slave master, worthy of all respect,
So that no one will speak evil of the name of God.
no one will speak evil of the name of God.
And of our
meaning,
nation.
I should be a good slave so that somebody will bless God.
Yeah.
Is that what you are telling me?
Yeah.
I don't need the God who is comfortable for one of his creation to become a slave.
Yeah.
Nobody deserves to be a slave.
Yeah. You servants must submit to your masters.
You servants, that is the slaves, must submit to the slave master
And show them complete respect.
and show the slave master complete respect.
Not only to those who are kind
Not only to the slave masters who are kind
and considerate,
and considerate,
but also
to
to those who are harsh.
show respect to your slave masters who are harsh.
God will bless you for this.
God will bless you for this. For being a good slave, God will bless you. I don't need, with all due respect, this stupid God who is telling me to be a good slave for a wicked slave master. Nonsense. This is the God you are paying tithes to. This is the God you are serving every Saturday and Sunday. It is because you lack knowledge in the Bible.
But if the slave does not die for a day or two,
But if the slave, after beating the slave does not die for a day or two,
the master is not to be punished.
the master is not to be punished. Meaning, the Bible is giving you the authority, number one, to own a slave.
Yeah.
Number two, to beat your slaves. This is the book you call Holy Book. Okay.
If they open the gates
If those people open the gates
and surrender,
they
are all to become your slaves.
They are all to become your slaves. Meaning, the God of the Bible agrees that you can capture a city and make them your slaves.
Yeah.
What kind of God is this? In this 21st century, we don't need this God.
Yeah.
I've told you before, the Bible is an archaic book.
Yeah.
It is an ancient book.
Yeah.
We are in the 21st century.
Yeah.
And we have to throw the Bible and the Quran away.
Yeah.
Read the Bible for me.
They are all to become your slaves.
They are all to become your slaves.
And do forced labor for you.
And do forced labor. The same Bible says the Jews, the Israelites, were slaves in Egypt.
Yeah.
And that God had compassion on them and saved them.
Yeah.
This same God is telling the Israelites who were once slaves to make other people slaves. Is this God normal? Read the Bible.
But if the people of that city will not surrender,
If the people of that city will not surrender,
but chose to fight,
but choose to fight,
surround it with your army.
surround it with your army.
Then when the Lord your God lets you capture the city,
The Lord your God has come.
When
that God in the Bible allows you to capture the city,
kill every man in it.
kill every man. What kind of God is so much comfortable with the killing of his own children? Kill all the men.
You may, however,
take
for yourselves the women,
take yourselves the women,
the children,
the
livestock, and everything else in the city. Yeah.
What kind of God will give this kind of stupid law? With all due respect, my brother, think. Why should you believe in a book given to you by your slave master?
Deuteronomy 24:7.
Deuteronomy 24:7.
Whoever kidnaps a fellow Israelite
Whoever kidnaps a fellow Israelite
and makes him his slave,
and makes him his slave,
or sells him into slavery,
or sells him into slavery,
is to be put to death.
is to be put to death.
Yeah.
Why is it that this same God was sitting down whilst our ancestors were being sold into slavery? This God lacks common sense.
Ephesians 6:5
says verse 5. Slaves,
obey your human masters.
Slaves, obey your human masters
with fear and trembling.
With fear and trembling.
Do it with sincere heart.
Do it with sincere heart.
As though you were serving Christ.
As though you were serving Christ.
Do this not only when they are watching you.
Do this not only when your slave master is watching you, because
you want to gain their approval.
Because you want to gain the approval.
But with all your heart.
But with all your heart.
Do what God wants.
Do what God wants.
As slaves of Christ.
As slaves of Christ.
Do your work as a slave cheerfully.
Do your work as a slave cheerfully. What kind of stupid verse is this? These are the verses they used for our ancestors when they made them slaves. I am telling you today, the Bible and the Quran should be banned from Africa. The worst book ever written is the Christian Bible and the Islamic Quran. This book doesn't deserve to be taught in any school. It contains violent messages. I don't care whether you call my words insult, because this your book is an insult to the Creator. All those who started speaking to Africa were killed. Africa, you are blind because your prophets came to you in disguise. Some came to you as politicians. Some came to you as musicians. Some came to you as lecturers. Just because they were not holding a Bible, you never knew they were prophets. Why? The time is coming. You know whom Avram bin Moshe is. Those who started what I have started were all killed. But there is one thing I want to tell everybody. You can never stop us. I'm telling you. I speak as if I have 10,000 ancestors behind me.
Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand